Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between the Chaos Dwarfs and Lizardmen. It's going to be myself with Astrogoth facing off against Subutai, who's going to be rocking the Banana Toad, of course the Life Slan. Very good at healing up this big Dread Saurian, and I believe he probably does have the lore passive as well. Yeah, Life Bloom, which is very underrated. Every single time you cast a spell, well, I wouldn't even say underrated, but a lot of people don't even know about it. But basically, every time you cast a spell with the Lore of Life spell, it heals your entire army for 1% of his HP, which against, for a Saurus warrior with 10,000 HP, that's really not terrible. Now, as far as my build goes, like I said, it's going to be very forbidden. We do have the double Skullcracker. These things are excellent at killing troopers and do a pretty good job against like Cold One Cavalry and Feral Cold Ones as well. On top of that, we do have the Iron Demon Arwar. This thing is an absolute menace, and Lizardmen are a faction that really spams good cost-effective infantry. Saurus, Skinks, who of course at 300 gold aren't expendable, which is super good, and have 48 speed. So having something that can terror route them, roast them off objectives with the flamethrower is very good. And in the last patch, CA did nerf all the trains. They do a little bit less damage overall now, but I still find them to be incredibly good. And honestly, for the Chaos Dwarves, are going to be very meta-defining most likely. We got Foghorn Leghorn back here. It's going to be Astrogoth, and I do like him. He, allowed this build to happen. I could have had a big Bale Taurus Lord, which is probably the most meta choice, the big scary prophet. But, he's a little bit pricier than old Astrogoth by, I believe, about 600 or 700, if not more. So by doing this, allowed me to get the trains as well as this tech back here. So we do have double Demon Smith. These guys are not bad fighters at all. They do have 38 and 36, 120 armor. Pack a decent punch at 300 at clearing off Saurus and Skinks, not bad, right? Armor-piercing shots against bigger targets, and they have 2 charges of heals with the Reforge. So the idea is, with 2 of these, costing only 700 gold apiece, I can use them to fight on objectives and also heal up my trains when they get a little bit damaged. So kind of a cool thing. Infernal Ironsworn, just some capture weight, a little bit of stopping power with blasting charges on the point, and that is it for my build. And for Subutai, it's pretty straightforward stuff. Lizardmen are a very dynamic faction. They can play a whole bunch of ways. You can go super wide with infantry, spamming lore passive stuff like Life Bloom to make your troops very resilient. You can go Monster Mash. You can go full kiting style of play with chameleons and salamanders. Or you can do a mix of any of the aforementioned combos, right? Those bad boys do not mess around. And yeah, Lizardmen definitely got to put some respect on their names. We're going to do some fast forwarding while we do get this party started. I thought about going in with the old trains, but you see the flamethrower shot right there? It actually shoots now. In the previous patches, it seemed a little bit bugged, like it didn't shoot consistently. But now if you're just kind of charging something, I find that the trains can actually do some respectable work. So back objective is going to be defended by some Chaos Dwarf Warriors, so those bad boys going to be hustling on over towards objective 3, while we fight on objective number 2 here with our trains. Now, one of the big strengths of this style of play is your maneuverability between points with your trains. These things have 60 speed, and if you pop more power, they get additional 25% speed. So you can maneuver between the points and be extremely obnoxious in that way. Astrogoth juke it about, eating some of the Skink Skirmishers ammo. They're certainly loving it. Now we're going to be going in for another flamethrower shot. So just kind of poking and prodding. The Dread Saurian can't be everywhere at once. And here it comes. You'll see the damage. It's not bad at all. I mean, those Saurus got cooked pretty good. And also these Skink Skirmishers behind them, it lowers their leadership, which can make them more susceptible to being terror routed. I'm telling you, it brings a lot to the table. So Deathstreak Rocket Launcher is out from the deep, so that thing has been called in, and it's just going to be sitting on the Dread Saurian for some time, which I don't know if it's the right idea because the Banana Slan is going to be able to heal probably against just one Deathstreak very effectively. So we'll have to see over the course of the game. So we do charge in there. Big ram from the old Demon's engine, also using its flamethrower, and you can see it brings the Saurus down to a pretty low amount of health. Meanwhile, we're going to be pressuring his back objective with these trains here. So the 2 Skullcrackers going to be rolling with that more power. They do roll through these Skink Skirmishers, doing massive damage on the way through. Not massive, but pretty substantial. And now they're going to be heading to the back objective, which we're going to try and put pressure all over the map here with our surprisingly mobile Chaos Dwarfs. So Demon Smith's on the way in. Blood Statue of Spite going down on my old Infernal Ironsworn. Very nice. But the Chowie blasting charges, nuking away with the Flamethrower Iron Demon at the same time, really nuking them. And you can see those Saurus Warriors going to be getting folded up. Also, we got them lined up here. The Hammer of Justice, the Hammer of Hashit, baby, coming down from Old Foghorn, and it's able to plow both those infantry units pretty effectively. So far, it's been a pretty good start. 1 unit of Saurus Warriors here in really bad shape. These 2 pretty tattered. He does have control over the middle objective, of course. But on the backside, these Skullcrackers able to nuke down these Skink cohorts, and they themselves, I believe, have 3 capture weight. So a 6 capture weight against these Skinks, which are going to be routing in a moment and running off to the Shadow Realm. So realizing we might be able to get the back objective, I decided to reinforce it. So we call in Hobgoblin Wolf Riders to try and help against the Cold One Spear Riders, while we keep brawling here on the middle. Now my fighting position is going to get overwhelmed very quickly. These Infernal Ironsworn are holding well, against these elite troopers. They do have really high stats. They're kind of like Iron Breakers, but the Dread Saurian is no small feat. That thing is an absolute raid boss, and is going to be able to feast through my units. So we're just kind of using those elite units as a distraction, unfortunately, for them. With the Iron Demon playing Benny Hill, if any of you guys ever played World of Warcraft Arena, it's kind of like humping the pillar to avoid the rogues and warriors who are trying to kill your casters and healers, and we're basically doing the same thing. So Iron Demon still rolling, being hunted down by the Dread Saurian. I do have healing for it, of course, and my units here do finally break, so the Infernal Ironsporn not having the best of time. Death 3 Rocket Launcher doing very, very respectable damage against the Dread Saurian right here, but overall, he's going to be able to heal it most likely. Now on the back point, we got a bit of a brawl. Coldland Spear Riders do chase down my Skullcrackers, but the thing is, I did lure them into the trees where I had some Hobo Goblins who intercepted their charge, and then the Skullcrackers come out, and I'm telling you, they still do amazing damage against these things, and are going to be able to melt them very quickly. It's 2,400 gold worth of stopping power right there. So we do break down the Coldland Spear Riders. These Skink Skirmishers probably not going to be long for this earth, and Feral Cold One's coming in to try and stop me as well, but they're going to get mowed down, and I should be able to maintain this back objective and or, take it back from my opponent here. Dread Saurian chasing across against the old Iron Demon here, the Demon's Engine, as the Death Ray Rocket Launcher continues generating some respectable value against the Dread Saurian. Nothing too crazy, but not bad at all. On the point, unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of cap weight. My build is very skewed into all these weird units, so I don't have a lot of infantry up on the point here. But the two Demon Smiths as well as Astrogoth, honestly not doing a bad job. They're going to be able to hold, and they all pack a respectable punch. So I'm hoping they can wear down these Kroxigor models, while Subutai makes a bit of a play for the back objective. So things were getting a little bit stressful. He had objective 2. He did also have objective number 1 as well, although I felt pretty confident that we would get objective 1 back, but we can't really roll here where the Dread Saurian is. We just have to run away from this thing, basically. So we're going to be doing a big circuitous route, grabbing these two Skullcrackers and riding up into the bushes and heading back towards the middle. While the big Iron Demon has arrived back, we do also get some Bull Centaur renders, which of course were heavily nerfed in 2 patches ago, but still they fulfill their roles relatively well. I'm actually a big fan of the shielded Bull Centaur renders against Lizardmen, but in this case, Kroxigors were my big problem. I have one of each, so I did end up calling out the Bull Centaur renders with great weapons. So here they come, and they're going to be taking these Kroxigors to pound town, that is for sure. So they get in there, big anti-large armor-piercing attacks, not messing about, we should be able to peel them. But on the back point, it's getting a little bit dicey. Subutai with a very nice flank. He's very good at pressuring all 3 objectives. It's kind of his play style. He's one of my main training partners, as I said, so we kind of know how the other plays. But Kroxigor is going to be heading to the point, and they will put their spanking paddles down on my Chaos Dwarf Warriors pretty hard. Out of desperation, we will be calling in more Hobo Goblins just to try and maintain the point for as long as I can, because I really, really don't want to let Lizardmen get ahead on points and have all these objectives. They're very good at taking objectives and actually holding them with Saurus as well. So Foghorn here and the Demon Smith fighting tooth and nail here. Demon Engine has arrived back, and its flamethrower attacks and its anti-infantry chariot attack should be able to kill the Saurus Warriors. Skullcrackers retreating through the bushes, and we're able to outmaneuver the Dread Saurian, which does have 60 speed as well, but I did have the more power buff, so I was able to accelerate away with that temporary buff here. And I have some, I think, goblins in the trees. Yes, it's going to be Hobgoblin Cutthroats. These guys just waiting for the Dread Saurian to leave. You notice I'm kind of sneaking back and hiding away from his big Dread Saurian so I could ambush on that point as soon as the big beast left and have an opportunity to get that one back. Unfortunately, though, it looks like he's going to be able to maybe wrestle this back objective from me. A lot of Lizardmen infantry, but at the end of the day, the Chaos Dwarf Warriors are pretty hardy folk, and backed up by the Bull Centaur Renders, they're probably going to win this fight eventually. Like, it's not going to be great. We have Hobgoblins in here too, so enough stopping power, and I think we're going to wrestle this one back. But even still, it's a great play for my opponent. He takes my back objective, and I certainly wasn't feeling great about that. Now, back in the middle, though, Lizard's looking a little bit worn down. We do get our 2 Skullcrackers back, and they have a respectable amount of capture weight each, and are going to be able to get some terror routes most likely on these Saurus. Demon Smith Sorcerers fighting, and I have been popping the heals pretty proactively this game. I already used a couple on the Demon Engine here, if I'm not mistaken. And now it looks like there's going to be some Spear Riders coming in. So Spear Riders and, anti-large cavalry can do respectable damage against the trains, but I find that they just don't get the job done as well as like a single entity, right? The Dread Saurian is a huge bully against my train, so I got to watch out for that. Back objective being held here by some Skink Skirmishers, and we do have our Hobo Goblins moving through the trees, the Cutthroats, so they're able to intercept these, or they're intercepted by these Feral Cold Ones, and should win just based on the sheer numbers they have and the the current health of the Cold Ones, and now might be able to move up and put some pressure on the back objective. So I felt good about that, and I did see that we were starting to win on objective number 3 as well. The Bull Centaur Renders and the high armor of the Dwarf Warriors holding very effectively here, and also the Hobo Goblin Riders here getting the Malign Authority, so they're getting a temporary leadership buff by fighting next to Chaos Dwarf units, which is quite cool indeed. So Demon Engine's pulling back here, and now we have Hatchet Stark Ravagers. These things are awesome. A very, very good unit. Very expensive, though. They cost almost 2,000 gold, but I've had a lot of games where these guys pay for themselves. They're able to mow down infantry, deal with big monsters pretty well, also have their throwing axes if you need to pick something off. But that Dread Saurian has been getting spam regrowth all game. I had my Deathstreak rocket launcher sitting on it non-stop. I mean, let's look at the value on this thing. It's got to be pretty good. So far, 1,500 value of damage on that Dread Saurian, all of which has pretty much been countered by my opponent's healing. Very, very nasty. But the Bull Centaurs have arrived. The dreaded Flamethrower mowing down these Lizardmen cav, able to tank their leadership as well. So the train convoy is underway once again. Back objective is secured by us. And the Chaos Dwarf Warriors and the Hobo Goblins, I'm hoping we'll be able to win it with the Bull Centaur renders. Looks like they will. Kroxigor is very, very tattered. Over towards objective number 1, the Hobgoblin Cutthroats have emerged from the bushes. And once again, we're going to be trying to ambush Subutai's backpoint by calling in some Vanguard pressure. We got some Chaos Dwarf Warriors coming, planning for the long game. Realizing I'm behind on points, so I do send a slow infantry unit over there, but I know when they get there, it's potentially going to contribute to me holding that point for a long time, right? That's the idea here. I don't know what the hell that was. I think I tried to drop a Hellhammer and misclicked. I was trying to hit over here. I was wondering during the game what happened. I was like, God, that spell did no damage, but a little bit surrounded up here. Felt stressed out. My Skullcrackers and my Iron Demons doing okay damage, but being beaten down by the Dread Saurian, which of course is just basically not caring at all about my big rocket launcher. On the back point, Kroxigors do get smashed. Chaos Dwarf Warriors going to be holding on to the point, and now the Bull Centaurs are going to be heading over towards the middle objective to try and help me win that fight. While the Hatchet Stark Ravagers were able to peel and protect my Deathstreak rocket launcher, but now they're heading back to the middle to try and stabilize the situation. Foghorn having a pretty bad time. Old Astragoth here getting beaten down by the Dread Saurian, which has been the big scary centerpiece. 1,400 value so far, but it has not been able to really catch its prey. But Foghorn is at 42 speed here, and this thing's at 60, so I'm probably not going to be able to get away, and that feels pretty bad. But thankfully, the Dread Saurian is distracted, so there's some silver lining to that situation in which now the Bull Centaur RORs are going to be able to dominate the leftover lizard units. They're going to crush these Kroxigors in combat, just better stats, better stopping power, and also the Feral Cold Ones are not going to have a good time, especially with the trains getting in there and taking them to Pound Town. So Astragoth trying to run away, back objective. We do lure the Feral Cold Ones into the trees to another Hobo Goblin ambush, and they have pretty good stats, 28, 28, and 33 here. They do, of course, get the Cowardly Despoiler, so they attack them in the rear, which apparently stays active even if the unit turns to fight you, it looks like. So 33 weapon strength here, not bad, and the Hobgoblins are now returning back to the fight after the ambush has been sprung, and the Chaos Dwarf Warriors will, they'll get there some year, one of these years. Oh no, those are the Hobgoblins running for the trees, but yeah, the Chaos Dwarf Warrior should give us that point. But the middle is owned by the Dinosaurs as far as the objectives go. 565 to 984, so he is approaching 1,000 points. It's a very, very close game in terms of the points, but we are pulling ahead on value, but the value doesn't really mean much with how much healing he has on the Dread Saurian. I would say the healing in this game is like razor close. Like the value is very, very close. And Astragoth does get beaten down. He's running into the trees. He's certainly not happy about it. Granted, I have healing as well with my Demon Smiths. My trains have received some heavy healing here, so I don't know. Maybe there's a little something, something. Hobo Goblins attacking these Skink Skirmishers, and now this objective should be flipping to us. We have a solid capture weight here, 5 with the Chaos Dwarf Warriors, and also the Hobgoblin Spear Riders going to be providing about 4 capture weight, about 3.5 with their current health. And the Cutthroats will be moving in to finish that objective off. So we're going to get a double cap here. It's very close. I might barely win on 2 objectives here, but I know I do also have the advantage on the middle to an extent. Hatchet Stark Ravager is being worn down, and the Bull Centaur Renders, though, still fighting tooth and nail up to about 2,000 value, so they paid for themselves. And Hatchet Stark Ravager is up to about 1,000 value. So these big, thick bulls here certainly having a good time, as I have now switched the Death Shriek onto the Kroxigors. I just felt like it wasn't really doing much against the Dread Saurian, and at this point in the game, it wouldn't be enough to even finish it off. It is healing capped, but I just need to finish off some other targets. So back objective does get flipped. Dinosaur is going to be sending in Saurus and Feral Cold Ones, hoping I'm going to be able to hold it. Chaos Dwarf Warriors versus Saurus Warriors. It's an interesting fight. The Dwarf Warriors, of course, do have the good armor and melee defense. I don't know who would win in a straight-up battle. Maybe a Saurus would, just because the Chaos Dwarfs might not have the damage output to get through their HP efficiently, and Saurus Warriors just have a much bigger HP pool, but overall, it's going to take them some time, and this is what I'm talking about by sending that like long planning infantry unit over to that objective. And we do also flip the middle, so now we got a triple cap, ladies and gentlemen. Was feeling pretty good, but this game is far from over. Dread Saurian hunting me down, the train's rolling dirty and roasting off all of these infantry units. And now we're going to be parking up whatever we can. Goblin Laborers as well as Infernal Ironsworn have been called back in. Deathstreak Rocket Launcher nuke it away at the Kroxigors here, and on the backfield, Chaos Dwarf Warriors looking somewhat comfy. Granted, my back objective still is a little bit susceptible to a potential Lizardman raid, so that was a pretty stressful situation to say the least. Pulling back, moving up my chaff units, of course, in this patch. Chaos Dwarfs no longer have bugged capture weight on their Goblin Laborers, so those guys are going to be only providing 2 capture weight, whereas in the previous patch they were able to provide 5, which is one of the main reasons why Chaos Dwarfs were very OP. I mean, that was a super strong thing, right? Ashen Stark Ravagers duking it out up to 1600 value. They've almost paid for themselves, but they're holding their own. And now I'm going to be moving one of my trains to the backside, realizing that this wasn't going to be a winning fight here. I felt like I was going to lose this one, so we do maneuver the Iron Demon over, trying to make it so the Dread Saurian can't answer all my threats by being in the same places, all 3 at once. So the idea is to move over to the far side objective with our Demon's Tongue, get the big flamethrower attacks, and hold that objective, and get enough points to potentially just win on 1, so I can Helm's Deep on the back objective. And it probably will turn into that type of a situation. Now, one thing I was really running into this game was not having enough units to summon. I was like bare bones. All I really have in my pool right now is Astrogoth and I think my 1 unit. It was really rough. And I was starting to bank resources. You see how I'm sitting on 1300? That's because everything I have on the battlefield is on the battlefield here. My trains have lived the entire game. I haven't been able to resummon them, right? So very, very dicey stuff. But this is where it gets a little bit messy. A little bit scary. We do start to pass the Lizardmen in score. We're within 60 points of them, getting 3 per second. Banishment attempt going down. Infernal Iron Torn going to be pulling back it away from it. But a lot of my units starting to fold up like a piece of paper here. Granted, the backside play of the Iron Demon, man, this thing is just great. So if you're playing Chaos Dwarfs and you're suffering, which I think a lot of Chaos Dwarf players are having growing pains with how to play them after the patch, I think this is one of the big answers. This thing's amazing. 3,000 value on it, clearing out Saurus all day. It's going to move back in, just butcher these units. Hobo Goblins coming to secure the point. And overall, the Lizards are in a bit of a mass route over towards objective number 1. Now, the middle does go to the Dinos. I can't stop the Dread Saurian. This thing's just been rampaging. Almost 4,000 value. It killed one of my Skullcrackers. The other one, of course, is still barely alive, but it will be maneuvering to the back point. And now it was a pretty obvious tell. I could see he was moving units over towards my back objective, and I really, really needed to get this one. So all I had was my 2 Demon Smiths, both of which died, and they're honestly not useful at all here. You know, I was paying $750 for this slow SE that is going to take 10 years to get to the point. So that felt really bad. He might be able to flip my back objective here. Granted, objective 1, his home objective, I had pretty good clutches on here. The Chaos Dwarf Warriors and the Terror Route coming in from the Iron Demon, which is just encroaching, approaching 3,500 value here, mowing down these units. In tandem with the other Skullcracker that came from the middle, I felt pretty confident that I would be able to hold on to this point and that he wouldn't be able to wrestle that one from me. But my home objective here, objective 3, not looking so hot. He's taking advantage of the speed of these skink skirmishers. He's just kind of poking, having a good old jolly time here as the middle objective is still, in combat. The Infernal Ironsworn are wrestling to the best of their abilities. This one Skullcracker did live, so it looks like I still might have all 3 of my trains. Yeah, I do. But they're very, very beat up now, so just trying to get this point back. Skullcrackers, as far as value, they've not paid for themselves yet. Obviously, the nerfs, you can feel them. They're not as disgusting as they once were, but still, I think they're very good and very difficult to shut down if you don't have the right tools for it. Unfortunately, the home objective is going to be flipping here, and this could be the end of the Chaos Dwarves. We'll have to see if I can wrestle this one back here. So we do have the Hobgoblins, or the Goblin Laborers, making it over, and the Demon Smith Sorcerers hustling, and Astrogoth has also been resummoned. So he's back in business, baby. In his first life, he got 1,700 value, which I believe is what I paid for him, so not a terrible performance. Over here, the objective is being held onto by the Chaos Dwarf Warriors, and my idea was to move the engines over to the middle now and try and wrestle that one. All the objectives were basically just in flux, but I realized he didn't have much cap weight here. I mean, it's the Croxagores, the Dread Saurian, and the Slan, so I was like, maybe my trains can goon this objective while the remnants of my Chaos Dwarf Warriors hold this point against the very slow Saurus, because they probably won't be able to get there before the game's over. It's going to be very, very tight. As far as this one goes, though, I really need it. 1340 against 1300, guys. It is a razor, razor close game here. As the Demon Smith Sorcerers, they get their pistols out, and they're just going to be ripping shots. And the pistols don't do a ton of damage, but you can see it's able to pick off a couple of those skink units. And, every bit of damage does matter when it comes to the capture weight of a unit. So we got 369, as well as probably 2 or 3 from these Chaos Dwarf Warriors in their very tattered state. So we do flip objective number 3, ladies and gentlemen. The score is within 20. We're holding on to the back point and trying to wrestle this middle one. I know if I can get the middle objective, that's basically going to be game over, and he won't be able to do a whole lot. So just hustling to get this point, but it's flipping back and forth. That Dread Saurian just hunting me. And now I kind of felt as if at this point in the game, I felt like I made a blunder. The Dread Saurian was able to just, push these guys. I wasn't able to get this. I thought I would. And this back objective is under heavy pressure as well. So objective 1, he might be able to flip it. The Saurus actually did arrive to the point. 1,400 against 1,388, guys. It is just a razor, razor close game as my trains tried their best to wrestle this, but the Feral Cold One mass, the Dread Saurian, about 4,500 value. Absolutely nuts. I love seeing big monsters perform well. is able to bully my trains away, and the Infernal Irons were not quite able to get the job done. Thankfully, on the back objective, though, we do anchor this one down, and we do have the 2 Demon Smiths and some, decent quality infantry over here. So I just need to get to the point where I win on one objective, which I think I do at this point. I don't think he's going to be able to get it, especially since we held that double cap a little bit longer. So he does flip the back objective here. The middle objective is going to go to the dinos, and I don't really have too many chances of getting that one back right now. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to pull it out with just one objective. The Demon Smiths tackling on the back point, and the trains have done it. So GG, well played. That was a razor close game, man. I was sweating bullets the entire time. So was my opponent. And I like the healing trains. Like, these guys, they're good fighters, so they're not terrible on the points. And they were able to keep my trains alive even after some of the pressure. 1200, 1100. So you can see the balancing adjustments to the train seems good. But man, this one is a nightmare. That flamethrower, since they fixed its arc of fire and made it shoot consistently, it does work. Especially against lizards who like to spam Saurus, which are pretty costly units, so you can get a lot of value on those. And overall, the build I felt was good. The Bull Centaur renders did nice at 25. Death Freak Rocket Launcher, I think shooting at the Dread Saurian was a mistake. I should have just been shooting at this Slan, or maybe going after the Saurus with the spread fire mode. I think that would have been more effective. But GG, well played, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. Very good match there. And we'll see you on the other side, ladies and gentlemen.